What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Sharee.
And I am your co-host, Mr. Eric Seats.
What's up, Seeds? I see you killing it with the background and the lighting.
A little mood. She's calling once again Front Street. You're always blasting me out, but these lights have been here the last 10 episodes.
I know, but I wanted to highlight them today, okay? You got a vibe. And our guest has a vibe too. You know, I got to do what we always do, which is I got to start off with the intro, with the bio. Y'all gonna love this bio because it is not the usual get down. And I am definitely going to read this whole thing because I was loving it when it came through. Here we go, y'all. Don't mind my voice. 28 years ago, a tree grew in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and Dan Baldwin was born. Dan identifies as a carbon-based life form who enjoys breathing oxygen and a small bit of nitrogen, as do most carbon-based life forms on Earth. He also identifies as a mammal. He started off his early art career burning matches into charcoal and using them to draw on napkins at a local jazz bar, as legend has it. He was also occasionally spotted with his custom doodled upon jeans, skateboarding through the streets of Manhattan. As a teenager, his late teen years found him rolling into skate shops and face planting into a culture where individuality was celebrated, so much so that he found himself commissioned to do posters and ads for local skate chains. In his many travels, this Argonaut found himself attending and lecturing at RISD. Ultimately, he launched into a multi-decade career in live music, sound engineering. Most recently, Dan has returned to his concrete jungle roots and has been producing visual art across several mediums while continuing to accrue at least 725 trips around the sun in Sound Guy's years. Give it up, y'all, for Dan Baldwin.
Welcome, Soldier Dan.
What's happening?
Wow.
I am loving all that.
I'm tripping off the bio. That bio stands out in a huge world. I've never heard a bio like that. That very well put, very well said, Soldier.
For sure.
Thank you. Well, you know, trying to rebrand myself, or at least recommit myself to my introducing myself to people in a, I guess, a larger fashion and a less boxed in fashion.
Yes, that's powerful. I was just at a summit last week, and one of the things they talked about in terms of like branding and presenting yourself is, you know, presenting yourself obviously authentically, right? Being your true self, but at the same time, giving people something that makes them want to lean in. And your bio did just that. Because I'm like, all right, I definitely want to know more about this, brother Dan. Is that your artwork behind you?
Yeah. We're in my living room. My entire house is kind of a
gallery,
an insane collage of I had to put the work somewhere. Besides, you only have so much space. I just did an installation a few months ago. Put up about 9 pieces or so at a local restaurant, Blaze over in Smith Hill, Providence, Rhode Island. Give them a little shout out. Some of my art's on that wall, on the walls there. You can also see it on my website. Or you can just knock on my door, come by my house, and trip over the various furniture, speakers, skateboards, and my art just behind me. And t-shirts, of course, if I'm going to shamelessly self-promote. Yeah. This is one of the test prints from the last run I did of my Dope Anchor. So Dope Our Island instead of Hope Our Island.
Oh, yeah. Sweet.
I guess let us know now what website that we could all be directed to for everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Check me out at artbydanbaldwin.com. It doesn't get any easier than that.
Okay. I definitely will be supporting.
Also, Baldwin BBD on Instagram is a great place to follow my stuff.
Okay.
Sweet. We'll plug that again later. But my kind of guy, I mean, where your space is, where you live, is truly a living gallery. Mm-hmm. I love that.
And a studio. I've gotten to the point where I do a lot of my painting in my bedroom. I've even started to have to paint my studio. I mean, in my kitchen, which is where I usually do my screen printing also, because the only metal sink in the house is down there. So it's easier to clean.
So you're still in Manhattan?
Oh, no. I'm in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, you are in Rhode Island. Okay. There was
Yes,
so much talk about Manhattan in your bio. I just was like thinking you're still there.
Oh, well, like you said, I had to give you something to lean into, but I do go back there very often. I'll be there next week to go visit my mother for Thanksgiving, for the holidays. But I've been living up here for about 23 years. My adventures when I was younger took me everywhere from Ohio to New Mexico to back to New York to here eventually. And I landed here and been hanging out here ever since.
Okay.
Question, Soldier Dan. So let's get to the jumps, like the jump of everything. When did you realize and recognize what your gift was and just the ability that you had to reach, and what gave you the boost or the official, like, okay, I can do this?
Encouragement at a young age. I always thought that was important. Encouraging kids at a young age. I was lucky enough to be very encouraged at a young age. Everyone around me, you don't realize it when you're doing it, but they marvel. Oh, look at the kid! He can do this. He can draw that. And also, I was very happy to spend hours basically ignoring or observing adults, but just drawing in a corner by myself. Probably helped that I was an only child. I had to be a bit of a portable, movable feast wherever my parents went. Whether it was hanging out with my father or my mother separately. Typically, it's at their place of business or at their place of work, so you have to be respectful and quiet. Do your thing in the corner. So hence one of the reasons I spent a decent amount of time at the bar across the street from my house. My father happened to work there. He bartended there. So so often I'd end up down there, get a cheeseburger, Shirley Temple, Roy Rogers, and sit in a booth or at the bar burning matches. Because, in the 70s and the 80s, that was kind of okay for a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid to be at a bar burning matches. And it's more of a police yourself environment.
We've gotten so far away from that.
Yes, we have. But I definitely feel like it was a lot of encouragement from almost every adult in my life. My mother especially enrolled me in the Art Students League when I was very young in Manhattan. I was like a 9 or a 10-year-old in a room full of 18, 20-something-year-old people learning how to figure draw. So it was that encouragement that probably was one of the most driving forces that took me forward. But it's definitely been a winding road. I've worn a lot of hats to get back to this place.
Correct. Correct. I understand that perfectly. Don't we just end up becoming what we need? Or I would like to think that I'm becoming the very thing that I need still. I used to feel like I needed to have this big association or a team a lot of times, but it's really you're the only one that has the passion that you have about whatever the subject matter happens to be. But I can relate so much to what he's saying, because I won many drawing contests as a kid, because I had nothing to do but draw either my dad's or mom's place of business, and just being in the corner and drawing motorcycles, because that's what my dad was into, or drum sets. And he worked at a news station, so just drawing pictures while he was reporting the news. Isn't it therapeutic at the end of the day?
Hey, that's a perfect word. This has always been my therapy. I think when I discovered that in high school, so that was my happy space. I would if I needed to get away from a lot of stuff, I would take my free period sometimes in the art studio at my school and hang out there. I had a very accommodating high school art teacher who actually I used to TA for my senior year. But he would just let me, I could have a big piece, in my own little corner on the wall and work on it for months if I wanted to. And it's a good way to get that out. I spent about 3 months applying Crayola crayons to one very large piece of paper to make a self-portrait at one point. Wax is this thick.
Wow.
Dang, it's so interesting, because as you talk about, your art being your therapy, I'm just thinking about, the motivation that people have in terms of pursuing or doing their craft. And there are those that are motivated by they just want to be great. They just want to be the best, right? And there's others that have different motivation. It's just a release. It's just truly something they're passionate about and something that they enjoy. And I'm looking at your work and I'm like, at what point did you realize like how good your skill was? Or did you, like when did that epiphany come to you?
I'm not sure if I've had it yet.
Yeah.
I very often find myself, I am like many people in the arts across the mediums, one of my worst critics, I'm sure. It feels very often that there's moments in almost every piece where you're very satisfied. Or you find satisfaction. It's actually something that I've been experimenting with a lot lately, where I'll stop a piece at the charcoal stage because I'm not really sure if I need to paint that. I don't know if and it's not like I can't try to recreate something similar or get to the same flavor, but there's definitely a push-pull with the process, trusting yourself enough to go forward boldly and fearlessly, and possibly into a horrible train wreck of a painting that you'll lose. Kind of like that line in 6 Degrees of Separation when he's talking about how all the kids are, Matisse or whatever. And the art teacher says, oh, it's about when you pull the piece away. So, a lot of it is that push-pull, knowing when to walk away from something and say, this is done. This is good enough. And every now and then you have that moment when you are truly done. You've seen the piece through and you're just happy. You're satisfied. You're like, okay, I kind of killed that one. I'll brush my shoulder off for a minute. Now I have to go back to work and hate myself for the next 12 pieces I do as I work on them.
That's all orchestration, because music has that same feeling. I have to learn how to walk away sometimes and say, there's no formula. And so like, I'm always trying to question myself, like, why am I, every song it shouldn't be the same approach or the same anything. And so I guess they all have an identity. And
yeah,
so
well, it's personal. It's personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every song does have it. It's got a personality. It's a personality into itself.
Correct.
It's almost it's something that you interact with the same way you would a person, someone you talk to, and all art has that. I mean, I would even say, books, the way they interact, or words can interact with you, and an image can strike one person far more than another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no way you can explain why one person hears the Joni Mitchell song and breaks into tears, and then another person hears that same song and finds it, soothing or strangely comforting, even if they hear the same melancholy.
Yeah. I think that's also why it's so important in terms of talking about it being personal. It's like, it's almost like that, like it is done. You know what I mean? In a sense of when you get to the place where personally you're kind of like, that's it. You know what I mean? You're not worrying about what anybody else thinks, whether it's enough for somebody else, whether somebody else thinks it's completed. It's a personal thing that you created, whether that be music, art, something with your, like anything. It's like, it is personal when you create something and bring something into being to your level of fulfillment or satisfaction.
Yeah, well, especially because it is creating something, seemingly from nothing, even though there's always stuff that feeds into, pieces, depending on how either personally we're involved with the piece itself or just the idea, the image, the concept that you're whatever the expression is in that moment, I think is sort of paramount in that. Could you excuse me for 1 second?
Sure.
Thanks.
Seats, we'll chop it up.
Yeah. We have announcements.
We do have announcements, don't we? Because guess what? Giving Tuesday is coming up. So people need to mark their calendars for November 30th. That is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And we're going to be doing some stuff live. We don't always go live on social media, but we're going to do it on that day.
Correct.
We're just making some announcements, Dan.
Awesome.
And we're back.
Perfect. Yes, no, I'm back. I just had to. Yes, I had to send my not so munchkin off to go pick up the Grubhub order.
Grubhub.
She's celebrating her big win, her soccer championship today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, middle school. Very exciting.
That is exciting. Congratulations. Everybody can't have a soccer win in middle school.
This is true. Hey, I joke with my friends that, I'm truly a soccer dad, but it's not just because I drive a Subaru. I get pretty excited. I get pretty excited.
Nice.
So shoot, you sound like a pretty balanced dude, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Are you?
Would
you
know.
say?
I don't know that I would say that.
Okay, well, that's how you're appearing right now in this moment as you talk about sending your munchkin off, getting Grubhub.
Yes. No, it does. I feel like it's controlled chaos.
Okay.
Anyone want a helping of controlled chaos?
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself I'm more of a I got a surfer's mentality about things. You can't fight water, so you can just sort of ride it out and see where it takes you. That's the path of life. That's the way most pieces work out for me. It's, you have an idea, you see a nice looking wave, maybe you catch up to it, maybe you don't, and you see how far down the shoreline it's going to take you. Sometimes it's kismet. It's perfect.
Very well put. I love that analogy. Hey, are you from California?
No, I did used to live there briefly when I was younger. We moved out there. My mother and I moved out there back in 77, I think, and then we came back like a year later, and then proceeded to visit there a few times after, because I had friends, childhood friends out there, family friends. So I've certainly spent a bit of time out there.
Right on, soldier.
Hey, Dan, question. So when you're working on a piece of art, obviously, I'm sure it varies in terms of the amount of time that it takes you to create a piece.
Yes.
Do people hit you up and ask you to create a piece specifically? And is there a different type of pressure that comes from someone requesting a piece versus something that just is coming out of you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny, though. It depends on the way the pressure is applied. For instance, I did a commission piece a while back for somebody, and there wasn't a lot of pressure as far as time was concerned, other than what I put on myself. And in fact, I really did have plenty of time to work on it. I sort of mixed it in between working on other pieces over the course of at least 9 months, I'm sure. Yet meanwhile, so there's a pressure of those expectations, what they expect, when they expect it. This was a pretty casual commission to some extent. Whereas I had a conversation with a friend about she kind of mentioned, you did a RBG, you did a couple of Baldwins, you did a George Floyd, with my vote series, and she goes, you should do a Basquiat. And actually that's how that one ended up happening. Mm-hmm. I just had a big yellow canvas and decided to go on a tear one day and just hit it. And I sent it to her, and then she wanted to use it for a promotional piece. Mm-hmm. So she took the image and whatnot. But there was absolutely no pressure that time, because it did just sort of come out of me, because the request didn't have the same level of attachments or strings attached to it. It was sort of, it was kind of like, I'm almost dare you to see if you can do this. And a day later, during a phone call, bang. And then right after that, I did another one, which it's a big red one. He's got his hand over his face like this. It's on my website. That's one of the pieces that's actually hanging at the restaurant currently.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever had like artist block? Do you guys call it that? Like a writer's block?
Yeah, oh, no. Yeah. I could argue that I had 10 years of it at one point.
Shoot.
Not longer. A little after my children, when my children were first born, I was still trying to make work for a while. Mm-hmm. And at some point I just felt completely, almost wholly uninspired by anything I was trying, any of the imagery I was playing with. I was trying to retreat back to doing really basic, almost exercises, and still couldn't get back to the same level of joie de vivre that I had before, when I was either trying to work on a comic book per se, or however many pieces I had going on at a time, it wasn't hitting me, and I couldn't even tell you why. It was just I perhaps I had to go find another wave to surf for a while, and so I did. And but I did find myself about 3-4 years ago making some life changes, and I just decided, why am I not doing that? That is there's a great quote that I'm gonna completely mess up, but figure out what the world. My uncle actually used to say this to me. He said, figure out what the world, figure out what you are, and force the world to deal with it.
Ooh.
And I always appreciated that it's that piece of advice is understand yourself, be true to yourself, and don't take the terms that of all of the expectations that come with it. I mean, of course, expectations can be good in the sense that sometimes they drive us. I think it depends on the person. I very often find that I prefer to just defy expectations. So, set that bar a little lower and hop right on over.
10 years, 10 years. Damn, we gotta talk about that a little bit more, because some people would give up if it took that long. You know what I'm saying? Like when you have a block for that period of time, some people are like, maybe this isn't for me. So, I mean, how did you just keep on persevering? I mean, you talked a little bit about it, but I mean, talk a little bit more.
I didn't fight. It was wasn't so much like, it wasn't a battle of attrition really, because I didn't have to, I didn't feel like I had to fight my way out of it. I think I found some comfort in my career working, because I to work with musicians on a near daily basis. Whether they're doing something live or studio, although primarily live events, live recordings, live shows, live whatever, festivals, you name it. Some theater over the years. I was a technical director at a theater for a while in there. In fact, that might have been the beginning stages of when I sort of started to fall off, because I found more responsibilities and ways to maybe use that same energy, but redirect it in a different fashion. Because there's lots of creative problems I get to solve when I'm engineering, whether they be in real time sonically or just functionality. Okay. So I think it gave me a cushion and a comfortable place to land, where I still got to feel creative and productive without feeling like something was necessarily missing from my current state, my present state. Then, there were enough outlets, and also, to be fair too, I think sometimes when you step away from something, I think the pandemic taught a lot of people this is it's so easy to get in the habit of not talking to, say, certain friends or certain people for a long time. And you could go 10 years and talk to them and people would think you talked last week, which is incredible. But at the same time, you ask yourself, well, why did I go 10 years without talking to this person? And it's time and whatnot. And it just takes you longer and longer to remember to dip your toe back in. And I couldn't say what moment shocked me back into the system. But I just know that it started slow with a sketch pad, and then it was full. So then I got another one, and then I filled that up. And then I moved to a new place and said, you know what, I need to get out my easels and really paint again and try and make some bigger stuff. So I did. And here I am, however many years later, with a house full of paintings, and not a lot of space for much else. I mean, it's gotten to the point where I get on a screen printing binge and I just start making skateboards, and that, I don't know if you can see, that's Haterade.
Made
a whole series of those. I made a whole series of those. You can find them. I think those are listed on the website. I know the t-shirts are.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's you can, that's one of my favorite things about visual art specifically, is you can work with almost anything. I have a series I'm going to start soon on a bunch of road cases, because it's a great way for me to cross my two passions, rock and roll and
clever,
art.
super clever.
All right. So I'm doing a bunch of local artists, and I have a whole bunch of road cases and parts of road cases. So those are gonna be, they hang real well as canvases too.
Let me ask you this, because being a drummer, could I place your art on like a front drum head?
Well, in theory, you can place almost anything on a front drum.
I guess so, right? It's a JPEG, right?
Yeah, you just got to get a good enough high res file, and they can heat press that on, or they can make a sticker for you of almost anything. Yeah, a lot of drummers do that. That's how they get the cool band logos on there.
Exactly. All right. So, of course, I answer as I was asking you that, I know it's possible. So I just need to hit your site up.
Yes, there you go. Yes, that's a great way to get in touch with me. Or I said, find me on Instagram and message me.
Pretty much.
I tell people all the time, feel free, feel free to reach out.
Done, soldier.
IG, are you TikToking too?
No, not yet. Although, we'll see what the snowboard season brings, because my daughter's probably a little more savvy with the TikTok than I am, I openly admit. But she's also my GoPro, one of my GoPro cameramen, and I do the same for her. So we ride together. We'll get our boards out. We'll get our GoPros going. So maybe that would be actually fun to do some TikTok videos at the park. Watching me wipe out is always fun.
See, hey,
I'd like to see it.
I hire my kids.
You would? Yeah, I ski, but that's one thing I haven't tried yet is snowboarding, but I've wanted to, so I might have to do that this birthday.
Oh, you should. The learning curve's less on snowboarding. It's only usually if you go 2 days in a row, take lessons both days. By end of day 2, you'll actually probably have turning down or just be comfortable. You can stop without thinking you're going to die.
So do you think I need to take a lesson? I couldn't just figure it out?
I wouldn't recommend it. Everybody, I've been skateboarding since Carter was in office, and I took lessons when I first time I got on the mountain. I've been skiing for 3 years at that point. I was a pretty decent skier, and I took lessons for 2 days, and then my third day, my instructors took me to Tuckerman's Ravine, which is a famous place up in New Hampshire. That you have to day hike up, and the drop-in's like 10, 15 feet, and it's all icy and crazy and it's total insanity, but it was a blast. But I took to it like a fish to water because I've been skating for so long, and that's what everybody at least assumed. So did I. But yeah, I would tell you that almost everybody I know tells me they're way much happier they took lessons. My kids, I even made them take lessons, and I did not teach them because they're not going to listen to daddy. They'll listen to an instructor that if I paid for it, if there's a yes, they'll listen to the Shifu, but they're not going to listen to this one.
Of course not. Of course
no.
Of course not.
No matter how much
that's the psychology. That's the psychology that comes with the age of us.
Yes, absolutely.
I can totally relate. I can totally relate because I just assumed that because I was a great indoor roller skate rink dude, that when I got on the ice, that it's a whole nother part of the leg muscle.
Oh no, yeah, you're shifting. You're using different parts of your legs.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It is not at all the same. Yeah, I haven't. I remember even going back to ice skating, and I've been inlining for years now. And I actually do shows on my skates sometimes, mixing sound, especially if it's outdoors.
Nice.
It's easier to get around. It's more fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the ice skating was real hard for me last season when I went back because my ankles still aren't quite. And it's, I mean, that's much more similar, but quads that's a totally different motion. I mean, that's all disco moonwalk motions you got to go for there. You got to keep it special,
I do not like inline skating. Now, ice skating and roller skating, I'm fine, but
inline's different.
Inline's a lot like ice skating. It's the most that's what I would, yeah.
But it's different and it hurts more. Or maybe it was the skates that I had, but I was like, nope, I don't like this. Take these back.
An uncomfortable pair will make a difference. It's like bad shoes.
Correct.
This is true. Hey, so in terms of your training, because I know you talked about, how you were literally making your own charcoal as a kid. to create things. But did you go and officially train somewhere, or this is just all natural gifting?
No, I mean, it's not like I never took an art class, although I can say this, I have never completed a painting class ever. I often think to myself, I'm like, yeah, I should go back to school, maybe like, learn how to paint. I think the closest I ever came to completing a painting class was at an art summer camp in between, junior and senior year of high school or something. Like we had painting as one of our electives. And I think that was like the first time I actually ever bothered to even try to pick up a brush and figure out how any of that worked past, watercolors and gouache, which was, a pretty regular thing to do. Not to mention, since I liked making comics, I wanted to learn how to, color them in and stuff eventually. That was an easy way to do that. But I certainly did. I think in high school, I probably got a good modicum of training. Again, my art teacher, Kim Doe, was super instrumental in staying on me and helping me cultivate and also showing me to let go in certain ways. When he got me, I was still very tight a lot of the time. I'd get so frustrated with the tiny little corner of a page that I was working on that I just like, oh, another page, start over again, instead of just trying to fill the page no matter what. Who cares? Just nope. You got to go from end to end to end to end to end. Negative, positive, I don't care, but you have to. It's got to be deliberate, intentional, and free, and also only use an eraser to draw.
I
like that, man.
Okay.
That could work in so many facets of life.
That's
so profound right there. Repeat that, man.
Only use an eraser to draw.
All right.
Yeah, in audio we call that mixing by subtraction.
Mixing by subtraction. All right.
Things that you take out leave room for the things that you can naturally hear or want to hear.
Yes.
You're over here full of book titles and movie titles. I see a song.
Right, you get all the snaps, on that one.
I got 3 snacks to do tonight because of this dude right now.
I'll take them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do it. Yeah, you did this summer, like you've never seen it before. And just roll credits.
I see all of that. I hear it.
And you hear it.
That's art talk. My bad.
I'm how much time are you spending a day doing what you love with visual arts and sound?
I would say, the arts, it depends on the day, how much I have to commit to doing, obviously, other things. But I've definitely been making a point of trying to delve back into the process more seriously, where even if I can only get in a couple of hours, steal them at the end of the day very often. Sometimes I'll come home from work at 1 a.m, 2 a.m, and stay up till 4 working on pieces, or sometimes stay up through the night. Other times I'll take those afternoon hours or morning hours after, if I have the kids, I drop them off at school. If I'm not totally exhausted, it's the perfect time for me to, sit there and go, okay, well, I've got 5 hours a day I can use, and, start to plot my takeover of my own personal universe each time. I think it was Chuck Close who said something about to the effect of you should always trust the process. Don't wait for the big idea. Don't expect a big idea to come to you and hit you. You have to trust the process, and the more you delve into the process, bathe in those waters, the ideas will come. And it a truer thing was never said, because just yesterday, because the last few days I had been on a bit of a tear, working through some of my own personal therapy, even through art. I found myself coming up with about 3 or 4 different ideas that I've been trying to get past a certain place with, and suddenly they started to gel. So I just kept working. And then was even more excited to work the next day as a result.
Sweet. I think there was a question that popped up as you were speaking, and I think you kind of started to answer it. But the question was, because as you mentioned, possibly being exhausted after having dropped off the kids and whatnot. It's like, what is your solution and how do you deal with distraction in the sense of the mental distraction, the emotional distraction that arises and may keep you from, wanting to create or being able to create, even though you might want to?
Oh yeah. No, it can be debilitating. I mean, it's almost it's back to that classic question of block, and I still have days where I suffer from it. I allow myself a certain amount of room to pace sometimes, even talk to myself. Sometimes I'll even record it. Can always listen back to it later. Taking stock of whatever ideas or whatever's bubbling around, but then I remind myself, once you get into the piece, most of this is going to go away, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
And in fact, you might start to have clearer thoughts about those things while you're concentrating on what could be anything from a seemingly menial task to an unbelievably passionate task, something that's ridiculously difficult. For every line you sculpt, a weird color you mix together to find that perfect blend for the next phase of a piece, all of those machinations help lead to a place where a lot of those distractions suddenly become nothing. They don't matter. And I mean, and this is for me, I can only speak for myself, but I find that that's always a big help in getting rid of them, is reminding myself that the distractions are just that. And if I let myself just go back to what I was doing, I will probably walk out of this much happier.
The word that comes to mind for me is discipline, because no matter what, in whatever the subject is, that the distraction, like if we're meditating, we can't consider not meditating if we're going to meditate.
Yes.
Otherwise you're not meditating. So the focus, another word, focus and discipline kick in, and distraction can't live if focus and if those two are dominating. So I would rather focus in on the term that needs to happen more so than considering distraction. Even we can't.
I feel that a lot, actually. Yeah. No, I have a hard time admitting what few disciplined things that I do are disciplined, because so often it doesn't even feel disciplined. It feels like because it's personal. You sometimes forget that there's a discipline to even just the stupid reminders like this. I could melt off. Calgon could take me away, but it's that painting behind me is going to be Calgon today. That's the bath salts.
Yeah.
Why do you get your best ideas in the shower? Or when you're stuck in traffic driving, cursing at everybody, on 95.
But I love to ask that because, I mean, you have a room, not just a room, but I mean, your whole living residence is full of the fruit of what you're doing. And every artist has a different method, a different way for getting past whatever it is that comes up. So I'm always curious about, what is it that you're doing, because it might help somebody else,
sure. And being able to look at it constantly away from it. I rotate what's in my kitchen. Every Monday night I have poker, and every couple of Mondays or so I'll because I'll be working on one of the pieces that might be in sort of a holding zone down there. I'll pull it, bring it upstairs, start working on it, and I'm like, well, I got to fill this hole now. So I'll grab another piece from the living room or something that I haven't shown anybody yet and put that out. And it's great because I get this sort of traveling. Well, not so much. I almost get a traveling circus of critics because of the people who float through my kitchen over the course of a week. But there's these same three guys who come over every Monday, for our version of church, which and it's interesting to see what their response. Oh, I hate that word. Interesting. So neither here nor there. It's fascinating and curious to see their responses to the different pieces, the changing ones. it's a nice sounding board. But also being able to look at the pieces, because any half decent art teacher will tell you, you have to be able to step away. You have to be able to look at a piece, walk away. You have to get perspective on what you're looking at. Sometimes that perspective is other people. Sometimes that perspective is 6 feet backwards. Sometimes you have to hang off your bed upside down and let all the blood rush to your head and stare at it and then get up real fast and come up with an idea.
I like that. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
so I think that perspective helps. Yeah. Because I'm forcing myself to deal with the fruits of my labors every day, whether I get frustrated with them or not. And I think it also provides almost a welcome distraction. If I'm frustrated with something that I'm working on, sometimes I can just take it, put it aside, hang it up where there's a piece that I've been wanting to work on for a while. And suddenly I'll attack that piece, and a few hours later, it's just done. And it's some of my best pieces. I feel like definitely came born of me distracting myself from another project that I thought was maybe more important or needed my attention, but I was dissatisfied with the project, with the progress.
Makes sense.
Wow.
Happens here too.
Have those productive distractions available. Is not the worst way to look at it sometimes. Maybe there's a discipline in that unto itself. Is have those blank canvases ready, have your sketch pad on the ready, keep that charcoal near in case you just need to work some stuff out. Get away from your piece for a minute.
The one beautiful thing I do appreciate is there is no right or wrong in art.
No, there's absolutely. They can make all the rule books they want, but there certainly isn't one. No, you are. If there's ever been a thing where you certainly are your own cryptocurrency, it is art.
I was just in the museum here 3 days ago, and just I love what different cultures see and hear, and what their perspective is, and but everybody brings something to the table that's just mind-blowing, and the detail that they put into the art in the days of old, it's just like fascinating. Like,
it's because there was as much craftsmanship and a very refined skill set. When I was taking silversmithing in my first year of college, and my second year, actually, I taught the class. So it was pretty cool.
Wow.
That was I really enjoyed it because it was so fine and small, or certainly could be. But the amount of time and energy you would put into, especially the finishing parts of a piece, from beveling the edges so you didn't have any sharp edges on a ring or a bracelet, or if you're doing a hammered piece, how many times you hammer and just how and where, and the different types you'd use, and then the entire process of polishing, which is another animal unto itself. In each step, it's almost like its own Japanese tea ceremony again and again and again.
That just made me think of, man, you guys. Okay, we're gonna stay positive, but I'm just thinking about the value that is being lost in terms of like the automation of making things, because there's an intimacy, almost a relationship that happens between the artist and what it is that they're creating, that evolves in the process. I'm hearing you talk about this silver, and it's like, we're not going to lose it, obviously, but because there's always going to be people like us that are going to create. But I grieve a little bit, because I'm like, it just seems like as technology continues to expand and things, it's like we remove the people from the process, and then it's just so much is lost in that.
I would like to believe that the energy, the difference is the energy and the passion can't be duplicated,
right?
With machinery. And so then we start using words like value. Value can only come from a heartbeat, I believe, a pulse, things like that. If it's manufactured, that's fascinating. And of course, engineering, I love the fact of engineering. I love everything like that. But I really feel, I believe things have energy associated with them. So it could be a ring, or is this a handcrafted ring? There's energy in that ring. Yeah. Whether we understand.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that when I started making T-shirts, it's funny. I have this heat press I haven't even tried out yet. Because sure, I'll design these things, and they might be hand drawn, and then I'm printing them on my computer to put them on the thing. Now that's just practical. I understand that, but I would also point out that at least locally speaking, a lot of my friends, appreciate the fact that not one of my T-shirts is exactly the same as the last one, but they'll still be, relatively similar in quality or style or whatever. But so they know that each one is like, I touched this, I made this, I put some energy. There's like actual love, and this was hand printed, hand pressed. Might have been a hand cut stencil, or I drew the image on a screen with my hand, or blocked it out, or whatever. And I think people do appreciate that hands-on value. That it's. Yeah, not only do I know the guy who made this, I know he made this really with it. Like there was a personal relationship with me and a T-shirt at one point. Yeah. And now somebody gets to have that same personal relationship every time they wear this. They wear the shirt.
It's how we feel about the mom and pops shops and restaurants.
Oh, sure.
You feel the owner, if the owner's actually there. It doesn't. Of course, it's not a chain. You can taste that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like you said, there's an energy people, everything has, but that energy that you get out of being intimate with a part of a person's process is, that's something that technology can't gloss over as much as it may feel like it's capable of, because the rapid nature of which we can produce so many different types of things, just like with any art form, you have your haters. That's the problem, who for understandable reasons at times get upset about the speed and the rate and the ability people have to affect things without necessarily having the skill set to have learned how to do that the right way. But again, with the onset of technology, is there truly a right way? Shouldn't it be as much as we can imagine, as ridiculous as we want? I mean, I know a lot of my work, I do everything from call out old things stylistically, conceptually, by pose, and sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it until it's already done. There's I admittedly very often either a political statement, a sociological statement, or a downright tongue-in-cheek statement in something that I'm trying to create. But I mean, some of the work is just personal. The small piece right behind me, that's just a shot of my dad at Selma. Wow. I found a photo of, and use that to help me, paint that image. But that's personal. That'll probably just sit in my living room for the, foreseeable future. No intention of ever putting that up there. That'll be like, private collection for the kids. Who knows? Yeah. But then meanwhile, there's other pieces that I work on where I'm definitely personally attached to them, but either because of their nature or for whatever reason, I'm like, yeah, happy to part with that anytime soon.
That's making me think of my earrings. I make earrings every time I make a pair. I don't want to sell them or give them to anybody. I'm like, no, I want to keep these.
That's how I used to feel about my jeans until kids started just commissioning me, and they'd go, hey, could you just do a pair of mine? I'm like, yeah, or just buy a pair or whatever, bring them over to me, I'll get them to you at the end of the week. Quick little high school hustle there.
I love it. Hi. The high school hustle, man. All right, Dan, so you talked about you're working on, what did you say, road bags or road?
Oh no, road cases.
Road cases.
The black cases with the silver sides that you put everything, audio and rock and roll into, and I happen to have a bunch of parts of them. I got a bunch of old ones, so I'm gonna some of them I might even just turn into like the coffee table pieces, you know, that are functional.
Dude, now you're speaking my language.
Because
I make furniture out of stuff that instruments actually.
And it's very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. See, I love repurposing things. That's always fun. And road cases are great because I mean, you get a coffee table that it's a little on the tall side, so you might need a higher couch or whatever. But I mean, it can open. You know, I could even install lighting if I want to. I thought about trying to convert one of them into a fridge. You know,
all of the above.
A whole outside.
Endless possibilities with Anvil.
Endless.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of my dreams is to just, you know, find that one perfect bar and then make that the bar. You know?
Look, that's a whole thing because a drummer would love to have a little fridge right there on the stage.
Yes, you know,
his monitor sitting on his Anvil case, which is really the fridge or the game.
Well, I mean, yeah, there you go. That's perfect. It's got everything in there. A little side pouch on there. I have a little gooseneck arm that swings up with one of those little swirly gigs on
it. It could be anything.
Put it right there, you know.
Yeah. Without distracting anyone.
Yeah, well, that's the best part. Yeah.
The word of the day is discretion.
Yeah, exactly.
So is there
Pay no attention to what this hand is doing over here.
Yeah, no attention whatsoever. None.
Correct.
I've got nothing up my sleeve.
I'm like, so is there anything else that you want to highlight that you have coming up that you're working on?
Well, I mean, this would be like, you know, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be highlighting this right now. Apparently.
Hi.
So we'll send you a clip and you can post it.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, I need that to tell all my people out there because the few who know are already curious. Well, I already talked about the installation, which actually it's on my website. That's incorrect. It says that my stuff was staying at Blaze only through November. It's going to be there through the end of the year. Oh. I extended my stay there, and it might actually just turn into a situation where I'm going to rotate out some work, depending on what their needs are. But trying to set up a couple of things. One of the things that I guess I would tell people to look out for, hopefully sooner than later, I'll be doing some either mini episodes and hopefully turning this into slightly more content. Watching paint dry. It's kind of somewhere between a tribute to Bob Ross and some maybe quick conversations with anybody from the man on the street to sort of like a lot of the people in my orbit currently that I either work with professionally or would consider contemporaries, but mostly focusing on I'm going to have, you know, mini time lapse bits of me painting. It's actually one of the last commissions I did. I sent a 5-minute video to the person who bought it of me working on their painting, along with you know, all the various sketches that went into it. So that'd be something to look out for. Probably be out there soon, hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, just look out for my art. Check out my t-shirts. Again, that's Baldwin PVD on Instagram. If people want to see my more personal antics, they can check out my Sounds Like Dan Instagram. That's typically where you'll find me and my kids snowboarding and whatnot. Yeah, artbydanbaldwin.com. That's where you can find all of my work. I'm constantly upgrading the site. And actually, it was the bio on that site that I really have to pull down because when y'all asked me for a bio, I sat there and said, you know what, I've been meaning to redo this bio forever because it's stale, it's boring. I didn't like the tack we were taking. I felt like it just sort of it was too much. It was a whole lot of extra, and I recently remembered that I want my art to be more accessible. Because really, how do you get your message across if you can't disseminate that information, if you can't allow people access to it? So certainly while I can, it should stay that way.
Yeah. All right. Art by danbaldwin.com. Shoot, you guys know where to go. Dan, we're going to get ready to wrap it up because you know what? We're not going to just talk your ear off for another 10 hours.
I thought I was the one in danger of doing that to you guys. I mean, I've been told that I can get a bit verbose from time to time. Yes.
This has been wonderful. You know, this is Eric and I, it's our first time meeting you. You know, someone referred you to us using the link on the website, which I was excited about. I think that's super dope.
I think that's super cool too, actually. That was an exciting surprise.
Yeah. So, you know,
so I feel honored and privileged that, you know, thanks for having me. Thanks for talking.
We're honored. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah. New customer here too. I'm gonna be on that side.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be looking out for you. I'll be looking out for you, Eric.
I'll make sure. and as I do support, and as I do support, you know. Oh yeah.
I mean, because when I do build my dream place in the woods, you know, where, you know, I've got like studio and you know, a small skate park in my barn, along with, you know, plenty of place to hang my work and enough land to throw like maybe 2 festivals a year, Airbnb it out to musicians. You know, I'm going to need some furniture that, you know, says, hey, music happens here. So that's cool. And I don't want to be, you know, stuck with just the typical Marshall stacked fridge that already exists out there.
Right. I know about that one.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Sounds super cool.
That's been tight.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. You guys have been listening to For the Artist. It's a podcast brought to you by Creative M Projects. I've been your host, Melissa Sharee.
And I have been your co-host, Mr. Eric Seats. And Creative M Projects is a tax-free organization, 501c3 tax-free exempt organization, correct?
Correct.
If you would like to donate to this beautiful this organization, I'm getting tongue-tied. I got but if you would like to donate to this beautiful worthy cause, you can do such a thing at creativemprojects.org.
Yeah, well, you got the website right on without a tongue twister. So go, Seats, go. And we just want to give it up one more time. You guys have been listening to the one and only rare Dan Baldwin, a man of many talents. And we look forward to staying connected with you as an organization. So,
yes, sir.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, thank you.
All right, y'all. Till next time, keep creating from the inside out.
We'll do it. Peace.